Are you okay, Louisa? It's not that we don't want to help you, but you saw the earlier situation. They had us completely outnumbered. If we had stepped up. That's enough. Shut up, all of you. Louisa was boiling with rage after getting humiliated like that. You lot were supposed to be my best friends. Only after what happened today did I discover how much I really mean to you. The young woman was upset that no one stepped up to help her. There were too many of them, Louisa. Besides, it was you who wanted to bet with them, protested one of Louisa's friends. It wasn't our fault that she thought she could win. By the way, who exactly was the guy who spoke just now? I'm curious as well. Seeing how protective he was of Sophie, I bet he's her boyfriend. Louisa, do you really have no idea who he is? You and your family are doomed if he comes after you all. Louisa was even more troubled after listening to her friends, for the man who left last did not look like someone she would want to mess with. Do you think we, the Yarboroughs, are pushovers and that anyone can threaten us? She snapped. I wouldn't speak so arrogantly if I were you, young lady. There's always someone more powerful out there. You never know who you're dealing with. The manager of Nocturnal came to see what the commotion was about, and was surprised to learn that the young woman before him had the guts to offend Tristan. Who is he? Louisa felt somewhat uneasy after hearing the manager's words. The man who left last. That's Mr. Northley. Have you heard of him? Louisa said nothing in response. Noticing that, the manager added, You'd better think of a way to appease him. Otherwise, you and your family will be in big trouble. Still, she remained silent. At that point, Louisa was no longer in the mood to have fun and hurried home instead. When she reached home and saw her parents, she wanted to complain to them but changed her mind when she recalled the man's identity. What's wrong, Louisa? Did somebody bully you? If that's true, you have to let me know, voiced Louisa's mother. It was only natural that she got worried since Louisa was her only child. Mom, is Mr. Northley powerful? Louisa often heard her father talk about the 4 prominent families, but had no idea exactly how influential Felix was. Mr. Northley? He's not someone we can afford to offend. Why did you ask, though? Do you know him? I don't. Louisa's face immediately turned pale when she heard her mother's answer. She dared not mention how she offended Felix at Nocturnal and how he threatened to take everything away from her. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? I'm just tired, Mom. I'm going to bed now. Louisa was so frightened that she decided to hurry into her room instead of telling her family the truth. What's going on with her? Louisa's mother could not figure out why her daughter would suddenly mention Felix. That man is in a different class than we are. We definitely can't trifle with him. Meanwhile, Tristan took Sophie back to Wisteria Apartments. Even though the latter did not stay there for the past few days, Susan had regularly kept the place clean and ready for her to return to. I'll go take a shower first. Sophie felt extremely uncomfortable from the ickiness of being drenched in sweat. Sure. Go ahead. Tristan replied. He took off his jacket, hung it up, and then went to boil some water. As for Sophie, she grabbed a fresh set of clothes from the bedroom and entered the bathroom. It only took her 15 minutes to finish her shower. After changing and blowing her hair dry, she felt refreshed, and her mood improved greatly. When Sophie stepped out of the bedroom, Tristan had already done boiling the water. As soon as he saw her, he handed her a thermos. Drink some warm water. In response, she took the bottle and did as told. Did you often dance in the past? Inquired Tristan suddenly. Surprised by the question, Sophie thought for a while before replying. I used to be young and wild. I'd always hang out with Mark and the others, so I did dance sometimes. You danced very well. He was reminded again of how attractive the young woman was just then. Really? You didn't look impressed, though. It had been a while since Sophie last bust a move, which would have remained unchanged had Louisa not crossed the line. I didn't like how people looked at you. Tristan did not appreciate the attention she got. Sophie already had good looks, so the fact that she could dance so well only turned more heads. Oh. I understand. I won't dance again. Sophie was thoughtful enough to refrain from doing anything that would upset Tristan. Upon hearing that, he pulled her into his embrace and made her lean against his shoulder. You can dance, but you can only do it for me. Tristan still wished to see Sophie's sexy and alluring side when he was alone with her. Then, Sophie tilted her head curiously at the man. Are you sure, Mr. Tristan? She asked. She was worried he would lose control if she gave him a private dance. I am. However, what do you say we save that for our wedding night? Tristan did not have much faith in his self-control either. Sophie had nothing to say in response to his suggestion. The following day, it was still early in the morning when Sophie finished packing her belongings. At the sight of her walking down the stairs with her suitcase, Josiah immediately jumped to his feet. Sophie, I know how important the physics competition is, but do you really have to leave so soon? He asked. Josiah could not bear the thought of being apart from Sophie for half a month. Maybe I should go with you. That way, I can continue to take care of you. Convinced that Sophie had been through enough hardship in the past, he wanted nothing more than to treat her like a princess. Grandpa, you don't have to worry about me. I'm just going to a summer camp. Sophie replied. She had always been patient with her grandfather. Fine. You have to remember to call me as soon as you get there, okay? Also, do your best. I heard it's a nationwide competition, but I believe you can do it. Josiah had every faith in Sophie. The old man knew about the physics competition she would be participating in and was aware that the top 3 participants would be eligible for the International Middle School Physics Competition held in Anglander next month. Caleb's attitude towards Sophie had changed a lot by then. Do your best to take advantage of the opportunity, Sophie. If you do well in this competition, you'll be able to join the International Academy of Physics, Caleb advised, mentioning the academy many dreamt of being a part of. Okay. However, Sophie was not very interested in that because she simply wanted to prove herself to Whitleah. Caleb, she's merely there to make up the numbers, yet you think she's capable of bringing a trophy home? Mocked Willow as she looked at Sophie coldly. Alas, the latter chose to ignore her, only sneering. Clenching her fists, Willow was determined to make use of her forte, painting. I have to stay calm. If I can join the painting association, I'll still have a chance to join the actual upper-class society. When the Tanner family walked Sophie out, Tristan and Isabel were already waiting for her. Sophie was somewhat surprised to see Isabel. What are you doing here? The former inquired curiously. I'm going to the physics summer camp with you. Isabel chirped. With the help of her uncle, she managed to sign up for the camp held before the physics competition. Ha! Sophie could not help but wonder if Isabel thought she joined the camp for fun. When Tristan saw Josiah, he got out of the car and approached the elderly man. It's cold out here, old Mr. Tanner. You should head in and rest. Don't worry about Sophie. I'll ensure she gets to her destination safely, Tristan reassured. After nodding in response, Josiah pulled out a card from his pocket and handed it to Sophie. Take this. I want you to take good care of yourself out there, okay? The old man said, unable to feel at ease over the fact that his granddaughter would be on her own outside. Willow was beside herself with jealousy when she saw Josiah give Sophie a bank card. What about me? Sophie always gets the best, while I get nothing. Grandpa is playing favorites. I have enough money, Grandpa. Sophie was actually wealthier than Josiah thought. Grandpa, Sophie's now the CEO of Tanner Group, so why would she lack money? Willow stated jealously, unhappy that it had been a while since she last received pocket money from Josiah. Grandpa, I'd like to buy a... I don't care how rich you are. Nobody can ever have too much money, so just take it. Josiah then forced the card into Sophie's hands. Willow got so upset that she could almost cry. Sophie didn't want the card, but she still got it. I got nothing even though I asked. Grandpa is obviously biased towards Sophie. Since Josiah insisted, Sophie had no choice but to keep the card he gave her. All right, I got it. You have to listen to Morgan. Have your meals and go to bed on time, okay? She exhorted. Okay. The old man was unusually compliant then. After opening the car door for Sophie, Tristan, too, got into the vehicle. The physics competition, an invitational that would last for 2 weeks, was to be held in Summerbank. When Tristan thought of how he could not see Sophie for the next 14 days, he decided to take the time to send her there himself. The 2 young women, Isabel and Sophie, sat in the back seat. Sophie, I'm not good at physics, so you must ensure that I don't embarrass myself too much, okay? I'm only planning to learn whatever I can there, the former requested. Sure. Going from Gypsdale to Summerbank required a 3-hour journey by car, so Tristan pulled up at the rest stop when they reached one. While Isabel used the restroom, he and Sophie got out of the car to get some fresh air. You asked Isabel to go with me, didn't you? Didn't I tell you I could take care of myself? Questioned Sophie rhetorically. She wanted to go, Tristan insisted, trying to convince her that it was not his idea. Sophie was stumped for words. Even though he denied it, she refused to believe that he was not, in any way, involved. How would Isabel get to join the summer camp if Tristan didn't pull a few strings? After all, the principal had to do the same to secure 2 spots for Gypsdale Premier High. What's the matter? Are you upset? I only made the arrangements because Isabel wanted to go with you. That's all there is to it, uttered Tristan, despite knowing that Sophie could sense that was not the case. After all, she was a sharp person. I'm not upset. Sophie denied being displeased, but her lack of smile betrayed her. Sophie, I just hoped you'd have a friend beside you at the camp. You'll be gone for 2 weeks, so the least I can do is have Isabel keep you company, he explained sincerely while holding her hands. In response, Sophie sighed in resignation since she could not help but be moved by how considerate the man was. Don't worry. If this doesn't sit well with you, I won't make any similar arrangements in the future without your approval. Are you okay with this? Tristan, a tycoon, was unexpectedly understanding when speaking with her. Sophie did not wish to be unappreciative of his thoughtfulness. Regardless, she was not averse to having Isabel around. Hence, the matter was resolved then. Isabel brought 2 bottles of water for Tristan and Sophie when she returned. It was already past 3 o'clock in the afternoon when they finally reached Summerbank. Since that was the last day for registration, Sophie and Isabel went straight to the counter while Tristan waited outside. Afterward, the 2 young women were to head to the private summer camp as soon as possible. Is there anything else you 2 have to do? If not, our driver will take you to the camp. You're the last 2 participants to join us, one of the staff members stated. Even though Sophie and Isabel were not late, they were still greatly displeased that the duo did not arrive earlier for such an important event. I'm sorry, but I need 10 more minutes, Sophie replied. Tristan's still waiting for me outside, so I can't just leave without saying goodbye to him. If I do, he'd be very pitiful. Why are you so fussy? You're already the latest to arrive, yet you still want another 10 minutes. One of the staff members complained impatiently. Ms., it's not as though we're late, so why are you being so rude? Or do you not want us to join the camp? Isabel retorted, unable to stand it anymore. Did she just get dumped by her boyfriend or something? We can take as much time as we want so long as we make it to the camp before it starts. There's no need to grumble non-stop. Do you think you're all that just because you come from Gypsdale? We, the staff, are all waiting for you here, and you dare to ask why I'm being rude. If you don't like the job, I'm sure many are more than willing to replace you, so quit whining, Isabel snapped. Why, you little? The staff member did not expect Isabel to talk back like that. You speak as if the physics competition was held just for you. Do you want to get me fired? I'd like to see you try. I'm going to file a complaint about your inexcusable behavior. Isabel was not one to back down from conflicts. Never once did she let anyone get away with disrespecting her in Gypsdale, and she was not about to change just because she was in Summerbank. I merely asked for 10 minutes. Even then, we will still have more than an hour before the registration ends, so what's the problem? Sophie spoke up. Even though she would prefer not to argue with a staff member, she could tell that the latter had no intentions of letting them off. I have no problem at all. It's not as though rich girls like you know how hard we work. Isabel was rendered speechless by how dignified the staff member had made herself out to be. I can see that she's working hard to make things difficult for us. Either you stop whining, or you quit. Done with wasting her time on the staff member, Sophie went outside to Tristan. Humph. I wouldn't get on her bad side if I were you because she's going to be the champion this time. Isabel absolutely believed in Sophie's capability. Ha. As if you're going to amount to anything. Let me tell you something. Not everything in this world can be bought with money, the staff member countered. She was sure that only the truly worthy ones would shine in the competition, not those with wealth. That's enough. Why is an adult like you arguing with two young ladies? We've yet to get off work, so why are you in such a hurry? Another female staff member chimed in, stopping the argument. As a matter of fact, she knew Sophie and Isabel were not late. Thus, her colleague did not have to make things difficult for them. Isabel harumphed as she could not be bothered to deal with the rude staff member. The latter could sulk in the corner by herself if she were annoyed. Her anger would not affect Isabel and Sophie, anyway. Then, Isabel took the suitcases and decided to sit on the couch to rest while waiting for Sophie. She chose to wait there obediently instead of becoming a third wheel. Tristan had just walked over after parking the car when he saw Sophie striding out. Upon walking to her side, he asked, "Where's Isabel? Let's go eat." He planned to have dinner together. During his last visit to Summerbank, he went to a restaurant that served excellent dishes, and he believed Sophie might like that place. "Mr. Tristan, I'm sorry. As we have to leave for the training camp now, I don't think we can have dinner with you." Sophie felt apologetic. He drove her and Isabel here for more than 3 hours, yet she could not even have a meal with him in return. I see. Sure enough, Tristan's expression darkened a little right after those words fell from her lips. You girls should go ahead. I'll come and pick you two up after the camp, he continued. It was impossible for him not to feel disappointed, but he could only accept the reality since he knew Sophie did not mean for it to happen. Then, I'll go back inside now. We must leave immediately. She knew she would have to leave him sooner or later. All right. At that moment, Tristan looked like a puppy abandoned by its owner. Sophie had the urge to pet him, and she did so by throwing herself into his arms and hugging his waist. I'll go back once I'm done here, she said, trying her best to comfort him. Tristan, who was sad at first, perked up once she hugged him. Do your best. Although he knew he should let her go, he was reluctant to do so and wanted to continue talking with her. I will. Be careful on your way back. Also, remember to call me once you get there. But then, I don't know if I can answer your call. After all, training camps like this will usually confiscate our phones. Tristan brushed his fingers across her dainty chin. Okay, don't worry. He would be fine since it was not his first time driving long distances. Seeing that the time was almost up, Sophie stood on her tiptoes and kissed his lips briefly. I'll go inside now, she said. The young woman did not know she would feel so reluctant to part with someone one day. It seemed to her that she was falling deeper and deeper for Tristan. That was why she was growing attached to him. Before Sophie could turn around to walk away, Tristan kissed her again. 2 weeks is too long, he lamented. It was too much to picture not having her by his side for the following 2 weeks. So he wanted to kiss her deeper to have enough to reminisce about whenever he missed her. What is taking her so long? Didn't she say 10 minutes? This is too much. The female staff member who argued with the two young women got impatient when she saw Sophie had not returned after 10 minutes, so she went out to see what the latter was doing. To her surprise, she saw Sophie kissing a handsome man passionately. The female staff member was completely dumbfounded. This man is way too handsome. He's even better looking than the male celebrities in the entertainment industry. In that instant, she grew jealous of Sophie. She's so young, yet she's already acting like a slut, kissing a man like that in a public space. How shameless. After the heated kiss, Tristan let go of Sophie. Go now. I'll come and pick you up after the camp, he said gently. Okay. At that moment, Sophie had flushed cheeks. The look in her eyes was alluring, making his heart race for her uncontrollably. When Sophie returned inside, the female staff member could not resist the urge to mock her. I thought you had something important to do, but you only asked for more time to be with a man. Is this why you came to our training camp? If you came here to seduce men, you shouldn't take up a spot. Don't you know how many people are interested in coming to our camp? Her words were vicious due to her overwhelming jealousy. Sophie frowned. She truly disliked the female staff member. You are in no place to judge if I'm qualified to join this camp. With that, Sophie went straight inside. She didn't have to quarrel more with someone like the latter. Sophie went to Isabel, who took in her countenance and asked curiously, "What's the matter? You look like you've done some naughty stuff with Uncle Tristan." Young girls were naturally interested in things like that, especially Isabel. Instead of answering her question, Sophie took her suitcase and urged, "Let's go. Time's almost up. I suddenly regret coming to this training camp. If I had known it would be like this, I wouldn't have listened to Mr. Ellswick. Then, I wouldn't have to leave Gypsdale for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's way too long." The other female staff member led the duo to the bus. Since they were the last 2 students to head to the camp, the bus was relatively emptier than before. Sophie and Isabel sat in the same row. "Sophie, tell me the truth. What do you think about Uncle Tristan? I've never seen him treat a girl so well." Isabel continued, "You see, Winter didn't do anything to hurt you physically. All she did was say something horrible, yet Uncle Tristan sent her to Allender. Everyone knew Winter was the dearest third daughter of the Quigley family. It was also due to that incident that Walter frequently went to their place, but Tristan refused to withdraw his decision, no matter what the elderly man said. That had Walter feeling somewhat dejected." "I know." Sophie agreed with what Isabel said. It was true that Tristan treated her well. She was a human with emotions, so she would be lying if she said she did not realize Tristan treated her differently from other women. "Then what about you? Don't you feel attracted to him? Do you like Uncle Tristan?" "No. I should ask you if you're in love with Uncle Tristan instead. Are you?" Isabel believed Sophie must have developed some feelings for Tristan, considering that he had spent so much time pursuing her. Otherwise, Sophie would not give him that many chances to approach her. "Aren't you tired? Get some rest if you are. I think it will take a long time until we reach the camp." Sophie did not want to discuss such a topic with her, so she closed her eyes to rest. Isabel was rendered speechless. Is Sophie avoiding the question? Forget it. If she isn't willing to tell me more, I shouldn't press her any further. I am her best friend, after all. Uncle Tristan will never be as important as Sophie is to me. It took them more than an hour to arrive at the training camp from the registration venue. That time around, the camp was held in a mountain resort. The bus had just pulled up before the resort when Isabel spotted Bailey. "Don't tell me Bailey has been waiting for us here. Isn't it too much of a coincidence that he is the first person we see?" Isabel nudged Sophie, then pointed in Bailey's direction. "Sophie, Bailey is here to pick you up." The former did not exaggerate her words. It was clear that Bailey came to pick Sophie up. Frowning, Sophie looked in that direction, and sure enough, she saw Bailey. He must have arrived here much earlier than us. But then, it's not surprising. Whitleya must have placed high importance on this summer camp. Sophie and Isabel had just gotten off the bus and were about to get their suitcases when Bailey walked over to them. "Let me help," he offered. Seeing that he wanted to help them, Sophie did not stop him and just let him be. The duo stood aside as Bailey helped them to move their suitcases out of the bus. Then, he walked over to them. "Let's go. I'll bring you to check in to your room." Bailey arrived earlier than them at the mountain resort, so he had gotten very familiar with the place. The scenery at the mountain resort was beautiful. On the way, Isabel could not help admiring the surroundings, whereas Bailey's gaze was focused on Sophie the whole time. It has only been a few days since I last saw her, yet she looks even more beautiful. How is it possible that she looks so gorgeous? Naturally, Isabel could also sense that Bailey was infatuated with Sophie. Holding Sophie's arm, she whispered, "Sophie, Bailey can't take his eyes off you. I guess he hasn't moved on from you yet." Humph. Although Bailey is handsome, he is still Uncle Tristan's love rival, and I will never be nice to him. Sophie shook her head and grunted in acknowledgement. What does that response mean? Can someone tell me what Sophia is thinking? I came here on a mission. I mustn't let Bailey get close to Sophie when Uncle Tristan has entrusted me with her. After helping the two young women check in, Bailey escorted them to their room. Sophie and Isabel shared the same room, so he helped them move their suitcases inside. "I'm sure you haven't eaten yet." "Neither have I. Why don't we have dinner together?" "It's dinner time anyway," said Bailey earnestly. At first, he wanted to give up his feelings for Sophie, but he mulled over it and changed his mind. Both of them were around the same age, and he believed that no one could be too certain about the future. Thus, if he put in enough effort and became someone qualified to be with her, he could then pursue her without reservations. "Bailey, I think I've made myself clear to you." Sophie was never someone who would toy with others' feelings, so she felt the need to clarify her stance in the current situation. "I don't harbor other intentions. I just felt that we should watch out for each other in this place since we're all from Gypsdale Premier High." "Please don't overthink," Bailey replied. He was not that foolish to confess to her at that juncture. It was fine for him if Sophie did not like him. After all, love at first sight was not a common thing. Instead, he believed that love usually grew over time. "You go ahead for dinner. I've traveled long to reach this place, so I feel like getting a shower first." Sophie did not continue that topic after hearing his response. It was inappropriate for her to insist that he had feelings for her when he had already clarified that. Most importantly, Bailey did not do anything which crossed the line. All right then. Bailey did not force her to have dinner with him either. He did not want to pester her too much, as he figured being that persistent would only make her push him away. After sending Bailey out, Sophie closed the door and took out a fresh set of clothes from her suitcase. "Sophie, I think Bailey is still crushing on you," Isabel commented as she unpacked her suitcase. "Stop that. I can't control his feelings and thoughts. It doesn't matter now since I've told him everything that has to be told." There was nothing Sophie could do about how Bailey thought of her, as no one in the world could control another person's thoughts and feelings, regardless of how powerful they were. Holding her clothes, Sophie went to the bathroom to take a shower. Isabel sat on the bed and continued to unpack her suitcase. Then, she waited for Sophie to come out of the bathroom. After Sophie had taken her shower, Isabel went inside the bathroom for her turn. When the two freshened up and stepped out of their room again, they realized that Bailey was still standing outside. It had been half an hour since they last talked, so they wondered why he had yet to leave. "Bailey, don't tell me you have not eaten yet." Isabel was in disbelief. Bailey was the campus hunk at Gypsdale Premier High, having countless girls lining up to win over his heart, yet he was willing to put his dignity aside for Sophie. "Yeah, I haven't eaten. Let's go together," he replied. Sophie was at a loss for words. In the end, the three went to have dinner together. Sophie, this time, the summer camp is joined by youths from different regions. "We need to be in teams of 3. Since we're from the same school, let's just form a team together." "Is that so?" "Yeah. Because you two arrived later, the others have formed their teams. Now, the 3 of us can only be on the same team." In that case, Sophie and Isabel were left with no choice. "I'm fine with that." Hearing that, Isabel suddenly felt like a dead weight to Sophie and Bailey. "Sophie, would I be a burden to our team?" Although she scored moderately in her physics class, she was still far behind in qualifying to join a physics competition. "Don't worry," said Sophie firmly. She was not too bothered about winning or losing the competition. "Isabel, You have nothing to worry about. With Sophie and I on your team, we won't have any issues, Bailey comforted Isabel. Truth be told, he was confident in winning the physics competition. Okay, Isabel answered. Although she refused to admit it, she must say Sophie and Bailey did look like a power couple at that moment. But then, if Sophie falls for Bailey after this, what about Uncle Tristan? No way. Bailey may be the campus hunk of Gypsdale Premier High, but he's nothing compared to Uncle Tristan. While they were eating, a beautiful young lady walked over to them and handed Bailey a card. Hi there, I am Mavis Sykes. This is my number. Can we be friends? Mavis asked with a shy look, her ears flushed. Upon witnessing that scene, Isabel grew delighted. It seems like I don't have to do anything after all. Bailey is attracting enough ladies on his own. You certainly surprised me, Bailey. You've done nothing, but girls are already lining up to get to know you. Your popularity with girls is high, she commented. However, Bailey did not even look at Mavis. I am sorry, but I have someone I like, he answered directly. Mavis' face turned pale instantly. She could not accept the fact that he refused her so straightforwardly. Bailey, I've heard you want to win the first prize in this competition, so why don't you join our team? You'll only get a chance at being the champion if you join us. Apparently, she had done enough research to know how to lure Bailey over. No thanks. I will rely on nothing but myself to get what I want, and if I'm not good enough to get it, I won't force my way either. That's not what I meant. You know how important this training camp is. Since we are to compete in teams of 3, even if you're smart, there's no way for you to win the first prize if your teammates are incompetent. But if you join my team, I am certain we'll outshine the others. Mavis was highly confident in herself. Hey, what do you mean by that? It's obvious that you think we're incompetent, isn't it? Even though Isabel knew she was not good in physics, it did not mean she agreed with Mavis' opinion. Mavis rolled her eyes at her. You know full well about how you got into this camp. Mavis was the top scorer in physics in her school, which was notably well known for consistently winning first place in the annual physics competition. Thus, it was natural for her to belittle everyone else. You. Isabel was about to explode with anger. What's with your snarky attitude? Just wait and see. You're going to be crushed by us soon. To her, it meant everything to defend her dignity. Mavis snorted in response. You may want to reconsider my offer, Bailey. When she looked at Bailey, she was utterly devoid of her earlier arrogance. While munching on her bread, Sophie said, Don't you already have a team? Are you planning to kick out your current teammate just so Bailey can join your team? If that were the case, a person like Mavis could not be a good teammate. It's none of your business. Mavis was back to her arrogant self. Mavis, you should go back to your teammates. Otherwise, I reckon no one would be willing to form a team with you if they knew what you were thinking. Mavis was reluctant to give up. Her only interest was Bailey. Bailey, you won't stand a chance to win if you form a team with those two. Listen to me, she demanded. Ha. So it's bad for him to join our team, but it's fine to be on the same team as you? Do you really think the result of the competition is predetermined? Are you claiming you'll win first place just because you said so? Isabel retorted, not bothering to be courteous toward Mavis. Deep down, she was livid. That's enough. Just go back. We'll use our capabilities to prove ourselves. Bailey did not want to continue wasting time with Mavis nonsense. Mavis swept a glance at Sophie and Isabel. I'm giving you a chance here, Bailey. You don't want to look back and regret missing out on such a great opportunity later on. After finishing her sentence, she walked away with a pale face. Isabel was both amused and enraged by her words. She thinks she is invincible, doesn't she? She remarked unhappily. It was true that Mavis won first prize during the previous physics competition, which emboldened her to act so arrogantly that time around. All right. Let's continue our meal, Sophie exhorted. It was not worth getting upset over an insignificant person. What Mavis thought was her own business, so they had no reason to be angry about it. Don't worry, Sophie. I'll make an effort not to become a burden to our team. Isabel promised resolutely. By hook or by crook, they had to give Mavis a drubbing. After having a spoonful of oatmeal, Sophie did not feel like eating it anymore. Although the food there was decent, her palate had become more refined because of her time with Tristan. When Isabel saw that Sophie was done eating, she quickly finished her bread in a few mouthfuls and stood up. We've finished our food, Bailey. Enjoy your meal. With that, Isabel dragged Sophie away. Bailey responded immediately by standing up abruptly, hoping to leave with them. However, Isabel had already left with Sophie. Upon seeing that the duo had left, Mavis approached Bailey again and asked, "Are you seriously not going to consider my offer, Bailey?" Bailey was speechless. "Can't we just compete to the best of our abilities, Mavis?" he voiced in the end. Mavis was at a loss for words. Why does the person I like only see me as a rival? Meanwhile, Felix began to report work-related matters to Tristan as soon as the latter drove back to Gypsdale. Along with his return, several tricky and challenging issues were immediately solved with ease. Felix sighed. "We're all humans, so why is there such a huge difference between us?" Those difficult problems that arose while Mr. Tristan was away were easily settled after he returned. Duh! Do you think everyone is capable of being Mr. Tristan? Sean's words had hit the nail on the head. It was undeniable that there were not many people like Tristan in the world. Playing with the emerald in his hand, Charles asked, "Mr. Tristan, did you drive all the way to Summerbank just to drop Sophie off?" It was merely a physics competition, which was insignificant compared to the pressing issues in Gypsdale. Despite that, Tristan ignored the mountain of work in Gypsdale to personally send Sophie to the training camp. Tristan shot Charles a look. "What? Did I hold things up?" the former questioned. "I came back, didn't I? Moreover, I took care of all the issues as soon as I returned. I've only been gone for about 6 or 7 hours. Can't I even have a few hours of freedom?" "That's not what I meant, Mr. Tristan. I just think you're doting on Sophie excessively. If you keep doing this, she'll have you wrapped around her little finger in no time," Charles replied. "This is the mighty Mr. Tristan, a man of perfection and indomitability, that we are talking about. A man like him can have any woman he desires. There's no need for him to pamper a woman so much." "It's natural that I dote on my woman," Tristan refuted. To him, Sophie was an exceptional woman. It would be devastating for him to lose her to another man if he did not spoil her more. There was nothing Charles could say when he saw how happy Tristan was from doting on Sophie. "Fine. Pretend I never said that, and don't tell Sophie about it," Charles requested. Although Sophie was still young, he felt that she was actually quite a scary person. If she were to know what he said about her, he reckoned she would probably be hostile to him in the future. "What's the matter? You're a courageous guy, aren't you? Why are you scared of a young lady?" Felix teased mercilessly. Charles fell silent. "Forget it. Why am I bringing this upon myself? She is Mr. Tristan's woman. If he wants to spoil her so much that she walks all over him, he can still handle it himself. There's no need for me to be so concerned." "Oh, right. How is Winter doing in Allender?" Tristan asked all of a sudden. "Pretty good. My sister may be arrogant and willful, but there's no problem with her work performance," Charles answered. Nonetheless, Winter had repeatedly expressed her desire to return home. "That's good to hear. In that case, you should talk to your grandfather. Tell him to stop coming over and rambling to my dad all day long. I'm tired of it." Since Winter was doing well over there, Tristan did not see the need for her to return. Once again, Charles found himself speechless. He would not dare to say such things in front of Walter. As a matter of fact, the latter was very upset with him for not being able to help Winter. "All right then. Is there anything else?" Tristan then asked the other three. The trio shook their heads. It was because Tristan was extremely efficient, solving everything within half an hour of returning. That's good to hear. Felix, get the person in charge in Summerbank to send some food for Sophie and Isabel. They're staying in a mountain resort this time, and the food there is terrible, Tristan instructed. His woman and niece, of course, deserved the best treatment, and he was more than capable of providing it. Mr. Tristan, the mountain resort's service and facilities are already adequate. Charles was beyond surprised at Tristan's words. When Mr. Tristan visited the mountain resort, he ate in the resort too. So why can't Sophie eat the same food as he did? However, he could only keep his mouth shut when he saw the look of affection and love in Tristan's eyes. Forget it. It's fine if he's willing to do so. Everything we say will fall on deaf ears, anyway. At 7 in the evening, the first lesson of the training camp had started, and the speaker was a famous physicist, as expected of the best physics training camp in the country. Sophie initially did not have high hopes for the physics training camp. However, her interest in physics grew after the lesson. A smile bloomed on Bailey's face when he saw how immersed Sophie was during the lesson. I knew it. Sophie still likes physics a lot, doesn't she? Physics is actually an interesting subject. After the physics training camp, I'm sure she'll like physics even more. Isabel was sitting beside Sophie. Naturally, she saw the expression on Bailey's face. It was as if he only had eyes for Sophie. It seems like he really likes Sophie a lot. Sophie, physics is interesting, right? Bailey asked. The physicist was well-renowned in the country and was extremely professional in his lesson. While typical students might not understand the physicist, Bailey knew Sophie understood everything when he saw the excited glint in her eyes. It's not bad. It's worth it for you to pursue it for your life, Sophia replied. She knew how much Bailey liked physics. Isabel, who was beside Sophia, scratched the back of her head in confusion. Look how they're getting along so well with each other. Is Sophie going to fall in love with him because of this? Sophie, I'm not feeling so well, Isabel muttered pitifully. What's wrong? Sophie immediately asked in concern when she heard Isabel's words. I don't understand what he's saying at all. I did well in physics too. Why can't I understand what he's saying? Isabel whined as she was overwhelmed with a load of information. Don't worry. He's a master of physics. There's nothing wrong with you not understanding what he said, Sophia assured her as the 2-hour lesson finally ended. The moment the three of them walked out of the room, Isabel's phone rang. The training camp did not confiscate their phone, and Isabel thought it was really open-minded of them. Felix. Why are you calling me? She huffed. Come to the main entrance with Sophie. Mr. Tristan has ordered supper for you guys. Isabel's expression immediately softened when she heard there was food for them. Ah, Uncle Tristan is so thoughtful. All right, I'll go and get it now. Isabel then grabbed Sophie's arm and added, Sophie, let's go to the main entrance. I have to pick something up. I'll go with both of you. It's late at night now, so it can be pretty dangerous. Bailey was concerned about their safety. No, it's okay. It's a mountain resort. It's not going to be dangerous at all. Well, maybe you should head back and get some rest. With that, Isabel grabbed Sophie and rushed out without giving Bailey time to respond. Hence, he could only stand rooted to the spot and stare at their retreating figures. Bailey, let's have supper together. Just then, Mavis, who had been following them behind them, called out to Bailey. No, I'm good. As soon as he saw Mavis, he turned and left. Mavis froze on the ground. She was fuming. She didn't know why Bailey was still being so ungrateful when she had already humbled herself for him. Bailey, let's wait and see. You'll be mine one day. Mavis refused to admit her defeat. The more Bailey was cold to her, the more she wanted him. Sure enough, a man in a suit was already standing by the main entrance when Sophie and Isabel arrived. The man greeted both of them respectfully as soon as he saw them coming. Hello, Sophie. I'm the manager of the Michelin restaurant in Summerbank. This is the supper that I've prepared for both of you. I hope you ladies will like it. When Isabel told Sophie to come with her, the latter thought there was some good stuff. She did not expect it to be supper. Okay. Thank you so much. Isabel grinned and thanked him while she took over the takeaway boxes. You're welcome. I'll be responsible for all your meals when the two of you are in Summerbank these 2 weeks. If two of you need anything, feel free to contact me anytime. With that, the manager handed them a name card. Sure. We'll take your offer then, Isabel replied. She thought Tristan was extremely thoughtful. When Sophie and Isabel returned to their room, the latter immediately took out all the dishes. As expected, all the dishes from the Michelin restaurant were scrumptious. Sophie, come and try their tiramisu. It's amazing, Isabel exclaimed excitedly while she devoured another piece. It's okay. You can have it. Sophie had no appetite at all. Seeing her that way, Isabel put down the takeout box in her hand and asked with concern as she walked towards Sophie. Are you okay? Are you feeling unwell? You didn't eat much for dinner either. I'm okay. You should eat first. I need to make a phone call. With that, Sophie walked to the side and made a call. The call was answered on the first ring. Mr. Tristan, you don't have to be so worried. We're eating fine at the mountain resort. Eating fine is not enough. Your appetite has always been bad, so we should take better care of what you eat. Besides, it's not troublesome to me at all. All I have to do is tell someone to deliver the food to you. Don't worry about it. Tell the manager what you want to eat, and he'll arrange it for you guys. Serving the people was what a Michelin restaurant was supposed to do anyway. All right. I got it. Sophie knew she wouldn't be able to win over the argument. Hence, she couldn't be bothered to argue with him anymore. Isabel seemed to enjoy the food, anyway. How's everything? Are you adapting well at the mountain resort? Everything was excellent. Mr. Wade, a physicist, gave us a lesson today. I find physics to be quite interesting after his class. I see. She changed her mind after only the first lesson. Mr. Wade is truly amazing. I'll support you no matter what you want to do, Tristan assured. Wasn't the International Medical Association still waiting for her to join them? However, he didn't want her to join the International Medical Association. After all, Aureus was still keeping an eye on her. Okay. Sophia felt warmth in her heart when she heard Tristan's words. He was right. Sophia was interested in both physics and the medical field. She told herself that if she could not pick one, she would just go for a double major in university. She couldn't be bothered to think too much since she didn't want to stress herself out. Sophie, you're only gone for 1 day, and I'm starting to miss you already. What am I going to do for the remaining 13 days? Sophie was speechless when she heard what Tristan said. Back then, she would have never expected him to be so affectionate. Compared to Tristan, Sophie seemed to be too cold and heartless. I know you're busy. Don't worry. I won't disturb you. But I hope you can give me a call when you're free. Mr. Tristan, are you acting coy with me? Sophie was puzzled. It seemed like he was acting all cutesy to her. Tristan had always been a relentless and decisive man. Thus, she would have never expected him to act coquettishly. I have no choice. I want you to act coy with me. But you won't do it, will you? Since Sophie wouldn't do it, Tristan had decided to take matters into his hands. After all, one of the two had to be more clingy in a relationship. I don't know. Actually, Sophie was being honest. Since she had always been aloof, it was almost impossible for her to act cute. Tristan could only let out a sigh at that. I'm in love with an aloof young lady. Sure enough, it's not easy to see her acting coy. Then, go ahead and have the food. Have an early night after that, said Tristan. He knew that joining the training camp could be very tiring because he was once a participant in such a training camp. Okay, Sophie responded and hung up the call. After that, she walked up to Isabel and sat next to her. As they began eating, Isabel handed Sophie a piece of tiramisu. Nosily, the former asked, "Is that Uncle Tristan?" "Yes. Who else could it be?" "Actually, Uncle Tristan is just a little bit older than you, Sophie. He's perfect in other aspects. You do know that, don't you?" Sophie remained silent at that. In reality, Tristan was not old. He was currently living in his prime. It was just that there was an age gap between Sophie and him. "Are you all right? Could it be that you are interested in guys like Bailey?" "Of course, I'm not saying that Bailey is terrible. It's just that nobody in Chonea is comparable to Uncle Tristan." In truth, Isabel was still single because she had an uncle like Tristan, causing her to set an overly high bar for her future partner. Sophie agreed. However, she seemed to have fallen into deep thought. "Isabel, could it be that you admire Tristan so much that you have feelings for him?" This time, Isabel was at a loss for words. Isabel parted her lips, but she did not know what to reply. "I no longer have affection for Uncle Tristan, Sophie. Please stop overthinking things, okay?" "All right. Hey, I'm serious. That's Uncle Tristan. My biological uncle." Isabel did her best to elucidate that she did not have feelings for Tristan. Everything she did was for the sake of Tristan and Sophie. "Haha. I'm just joking." Seeing her reaction, Sophie could not help giggling. "Great." Isabel put down her food and pulled out a paper towel. After wiping her hands, she came near to Sophie and tickled her. "I was talking to you about something serious, but you scared me." "That's outrageous." Nevertheless, she was no match for Sophie. Within 3 seconds, the latter had already taken Isabel down, pressing her against the couch while tickling her. "Ha! Does Isabel think that she is a match for me? Ha ha ha!" Isabel laughed her head off that she was gasping for air. There were even tears in her eyes from laughing too hard. "I'm sorry, Sophie. Please have mercy on me," Isabel pleaded right away. "Greet your queen," Sophie ordered as she looked at Isabel condescendingly. "I'm sorry, Your Majesty." Isabel never thought that Sophie harbored ambitions of becoming the queen. Nonetheless, as long as Sophie stopped tickling her, she would do anything Sophie asked her to do. After having some fun playing, Isabel felt hungry again. Thus, they continued their meal. As expected from a Michelin-starred restaurant. "Their food tastes great. You're skinny, Sophie. Eat more." However, Sophie had already had her fill. She wiped her hands and uttered, "Eat more if you like it. I'm full." Even though the food served by the Michelin-starred restaurant was delicious, Sophie was too full to have another portion. "I'll give Arius a call. You should get some rest after eating," suggested Sophie. At that moment, Isabel was caught in a dilemma. "It's a waste if we can't finish the food. I shall continue eating." "Wait. Sophie is so disciplined, though she's always had a good figure. Isn't it terrible for me to eat this much?" Meanwhile, Arius was preparing to perform an emergency operation when he received a phone call. Still, he decided to answer the call when he noticed that the caller was Sophie. "Professor Gulliver, the operation is about to start. What are you?" "Hold on," Arius interjected and walked to a side to answer the call. Everyone else who was also waiting for Arius dared not utter another word either. Although Professor Gulliver has always been amiable, he can be fierce sometimes. "What's the matter? Do you miss me? Why are you calling me suddenly?" Arius asked with a smile. "I just wanted to know how is Nicholas?" Sophie queried. "Nicholas? What have you done to him?" "Well, you don't know the situation in Englander, do you? He made a mess of things upon returning to the country." Arius knew for sure Nicholas was displeased because of Sophie. "Nothing much, actually. Anyway, stay away from him, and don't let him capture you. Otherwise, you'll lead a miserable life ahead," Sophie reminded. "Hey, what exactly have you done to him?" In truth, Nicholas had always been a crazy person. From bad to worse, he became a psychopath upon returning to the country this time. That's it then. If there's nothing else, I'll disconnect the call, said Sophie. Okay. Remember to visit Englander after your university entrance exam. I'll show you what my everyday life is like. Let's talk about this later. Sophie was still unsure about her plan for the future. No. You're the one who promised me back then. Moreover, Barney looks forward to a visit from you every day. Arius would not give up easily, as it was rare to encounter someone as talented as Sophie. I'm not saying that I'm not visiting. It's just that there's still some time before the university entrance exam. Let's talk about this after the exam. To Sophie, it would not make much difference to her to take the university entrance exam. She was merely taking the exam on Josiah's account. That's great. I thought you wouldn't be coming. I'm serious, Sophie. You won't regret becoming a doctor, Arius assured. Noticing that Sophie remained silent, he then continued. All right, that's it then. I have to perform an operation on a patient now. Don't worry about me. Nicholas can't do anything to me. Okay. Meanwhile, Nicholas had gotten grumpier after returning to the country. He could not stay calm each time he thought about how Sophie had tricked him. Boss, old Mr. Sable is absolutely furious at your trip to Gypsdale. It'd be better for you to stay put for the time being. Having heard that, Nicholas smashed the glass in his hand against the wall. Instantly, shards of glass were all over the place. At that moment, Nicholas' assistant remained rooted where he was, without moving a muscle. Unfortunately, a piece of shard injured his arm, and blood started trickling down. How dare you bring up this matter? He wouldn't have known that I went to Gypsdale if you didn't tell him. Immediately, the assistant was rendered speechless. Looking helpless, the assistant voiced, Boss, I was just following orders. On top of that, we can't do anything when Ms. Tanner refuses to come back. After all, a forced relationship will not bring happiness. How do you know it will not bring happiness when you haven't even tried? Nicholas retorted. I'm sure we'll be happy. Even if we are not, I still want her. She is mine. Again, Nicholas' words rendered his assistant speechless. Judging from Sophie's personality, there's nothing else we can do if she says no. This is quite a mission impossible, no? That can't be. Listen, I don't care what you do, but capture Sophie and send her to me by all means. Unfortunately, Sophie had become an obsession with Nicholas in this lifetime. He would probably do something foolish if he could not capture Sophie. It's pointless even if we've successfully captured her, boss. It's not like you can marry her. Old Mr. Sable will not agree. If marrying her is the only way to keep her by my side, we can work on it. The assistant was utterly speechless. Does boss really want to marry Sophie? It may cause a ruckus if they really get married. To Sophie, life in the training camp was quite fun. All the students were doing physics experiments after the training session ended in the morning. Sophie and Bailey's cooperation was perfect. When Isabel saw the duo working together so well, she felt out of place. The other groups also consisted of 3 members, and everyone seemed exceptional, but our team still finished the experiment first, even though I was of no help. Isabel looked at Sophie in admiration. Sophie, how could you be so amazing? Some people are even jealous of you and think that you're not capable. Beside them was Mavis' group. In order to get closer to Bailey, Mavis had been sticking around them for the past few days, which caused Isabel to get sick of her. Meanwhile, it never occurred to Mavis that Bailey's group could still finish the experiment excellently. In fact, they were the first group to complete it, although their group was equivalent to lacking 1 member. Isabel uttered, Mavis, focus. Do you want to be the last? Subsequently, the other teams had also done working on the experiment. However, Mavis could not concentrate as it made her feel upset to see Bailey and Sophie working together. What right do you have to speak as a loser? Annoyed, Mavis could only bicker with Isabel. I'm a loser. So what? Since my 2 teammates are so incredible, I can defeat you with much effort. I want to piss her off because she has always been so insolent. Isabel and Mavis were about to start arguing, and Sophie got tired of that scene. Therefore, she said, "All right. Let's go. We should have our meal now. Although Mavis is really annoying, I think it's a waste of time to fight with someone like her." "Okay, Sophie. You're my queen, so I'll do everything you say," Isabel smugly replied. When Bailey saw the duo walk out, he also packed up his things to leave with them. In the meantime, there was no way for Mavis to concentrate after seeing Bailey leave. Eventually, her team indeed became the last to complete the experiment. Both of her teammates were rendered speechless. "Mavis, what are you doing?" "We're here for the physics competition and not to accompany you to pursue the guy. If you're not interested in this physics competition, it's better for you to quit. Don't drag us down." As they were the top students in school, they naturally felt unhappy to rank last in the competition because of Mavis. Mavis threw the things in her hands on the table and had an icy expression on her face. Initially, she had already felt displeased to be the last in the competition, but her team members still gave her such comments, which made her even more annoyed. "Did I ask you guys to form a group with me? Didn't you guys want to team with me just because I won the first prize last year? Who do you think you should blame when you're the incompetent ones? Take Bailey as an example. Even if he has one less teammate, he can still turn the tables on you guys, hasn't he?" Hearing that, her teammates were at a loss for words. "You're incorrigible." The duo no longer wanted to bother themselves with Mavis and turned to leave. "Indeed, we encountered a useless teammate this time." Frustrated, Mavis stayed back alone in the lab. "Damn it. This is all Sophie's fault. Otherwise, things won't turn out like that. I'll surely defeat her during the competition. I want to show her who is the real winner of the physics competition. Sophie, let's go to the cafeteria to have a meal together." Bailey invited Sophie and Isabel. Sophie stopped in her tracks, but she shook her head. "I'm sorry. Someone has delivered food especially for Isabel and me. We are not going to the cafeteria." Even though she didn't mean to make a big deal out of it, she couldn't disappoint Tristan's kind intentions as he had already made the arrangement. "Oh, I see. Well, the food in the cafeteria is so. It might not suit your taste." Bailey didn't say anything else. It was because he knew about Sophie's boyfriend. "I guess he's an outstanding man. The huge age gap between him and Sophie might be the only flaw. Therefore, there's still a chance for me to be with her. Sophie is young now. Who knows what will happen in the future? Hence, it's not a big deal that I failed to woo her now." Mavis saw someone deliver meals for Sophie and Isabel as she exited the lab. The moment Mavis noticed the Michelin restaurant's logo, she inexorably sneered. "What's so special about it? She's just a sugar baby." After receiving the lunchbox, Isabel saw Mavis when she turned around. Judging from Mavis' expression, she could tell that the former despised herself and Sophie very much. "I have no idea what gave this woman the courage to look down on us. Does she seriously think that she's that great? Aren't you the one who ranked last? What are you trying to do following behind us?" Isabel uttered mercilessly. Mavis snorted in response. She gave Isabel the cold shoulder. Sophie ignored Mavis too. Then, she pulled Isabel and walked away. Isabel was over the moon when she saw Mavis' reaction. Whenever there was a chance, Mavis would come and look for Bailey over the last few days. She's now an infatuated bozo. Sophie, to be honest, I pity Bailey for having a woman like her as his admirer. What awful luck. As the training camp is halfway through the end, Mavis is getting even more panic. She wants to get closer to him by any means necessary. That's enough. Why do you have to argue with her? We are not on the same wavelength after all. Isabel pursed her lips. I have nothing else to do. As you know, when you and Bailey were doing the experiment, I couldn't be of any help, so I got slightly bored. Well, who asked you to come here? I'm here to keep you company. Although these physics experiments are undeniably boring, I like to stay by your side no matter what. A little boredom means nothing because Sophie is here. After going back to the room, Isabel took out all the dishes. The service of the Michelin restaurant was very good as they prepared different varieties of meals for the duo daily. Despite that, they were sick of the food when they consumed too much of it. In the afternoon, Tristan gave Sophie a call as usual. "Have you finished eating?" "Mr. Tristan, to be frank, I've gotten bored of the food. Please tell them to stop sending the dishes over. I can take my lunch at the cafeteria." Tristan furrowed his brows at her words. "What's wrong? Is the food and service from the Michelin restaurant not good enough? Or is there something you want to eat? Tell me. I'll get someone to make the necessary arrangements." Sophie remained silent. "What's the matter?" When Tristan noticed she didn't utter a word for quite some time, he couldn't help feeling anxious. Moreover, there was no way for him to read her expression. "Mr. Tristan, are you trying to feed me and make me a fatty? Isn't he being a little too obvious? Why? You caught me. If I could do that, you will be mine alone. Ha! If I really turn into a fatty, would you still like me?" "Yes." Initially, Sophie only brought it up casually, but never had she expected Tristan to answer her in all seriousness. "No matter what happens to you, I'll still like you. This is a fact that will never change." Tristan said those words as if he was swearing an oath. Although he wasn't beside her, and the only other person around her was Isabel, Sophie's heart still palpitated after she listened to his shocking response, prompting her to clutch her chest. "Oh no. Damn it. Is this how it feels like to fall for someone? He's not by my side at the moment, yet he's still capable of having such a significant influence on me." Taking in Sophie's demeanor while talking on the phone, Isabel couldn't contain her urge to laugh. "It looks like I got worried for nothing. Sophie is still very much in love with my uncle." She knew that was the truth by looking at Sophie's cheerful and contented facial expression. At the same time, she was genuinely happy for her uncle. After all, he didn't spend so much time keeping her company for naught. All of a sudden, Isabel felt a little dejected. She was rather thrilled to see others in love, but she wondered when she could finally get involved in a romantic relationship with someone. "Oh God, where is my Prince Charming? Have you forgotten to assign me one when you created me?" She was a little depressed after giving that matter some thought. Meanwhile, after Sophie talked to Tristan for a while longer, the outcome was for him to order food delivery from another 5-star hotel. On the other hand, when the manager of the Michelin restaurant was informed of the cancelled delivery, he felt worried and fearful because he didn't know in which aspect they did poorly to displease Tristan. The manager even instructed his men to find out the reason. Sophie walked up to Isabel and sat beside the latter to have their lunch together. Isabel looked at Sophie and chirped, "Sophie, how does it feel to be in a relationship with my uncle? I've always thought of him as a cold and unapproachable person. In addition, you're not that talkative either. Won't you two feel awkward hanging around each other?" That was something Isabel had always wanted to know. "Is your uncle that unapproachable? I think he's fine." At the very least, Sophie thought Tristan was not what Isabel described whenever he was with her. Isabel was stumped. Even Felix, who works for my uncle, mentioned he was distant and unfriendly. Yet Sophie doesn't seem to share this sentiment. Indeed, the relationship paradigm differs from one person to another. After finishing their lunch, the two took a nap. Sophie couldn't help but send Tristan a message. "Are you unapproachable and cold?" Tristan swiftly replied with a question mark a second after her text was delivered. "I am cool but not cold." Staring at his message, a grin spread across her face uncontrollably. That's right. He may look aloof, but he was never cold. In fact, he's even a little warm sometimes. "Bailey, you must trust me. That Sophie is just pretty. In fact, she's someone's sugar baby, so she doesn't deserve you." Mavis was relentless. Seeing how the training camp was about to end and Bailey had yet to see Sophie's true colors, Mavis grew more anxious than ever. "Mavis, don't blame me for what I'll do if you continue to spout nonsense. How can you talk smack of others behind their back?" She's being so harsh with her words by saying that Sophie is a sugar baby. "I'm telling the truth. Sophie is too adept at putting up a facade. You need to stop defending her while she's deceiving you, all right? Well, I'm happy that she does that. Regrettably, Sophie couldn't even be bothered to do that to me. I'm not worth the effort for others to even lie to me. When Sophie and Isabel entered, they coincidentally heard their conversation. Isabel couldn't help but wonder. This Bailey is quite a loyal person. Does he like Sophie that much? Sophie, do you feel troubled at times for being born with such good looks? Naturally, Isabel heard Mavis' words as well. What's wrong with this Mavis? Does she have to show up in front of us and disgust us with her revolting personality and behavior? A sugar baby? Who's so capable of being Sophie's sugar daddy? I'd like to meet this person. Humph. Am I not speaking facts? Everyone participating in this competition has our meals at the resort except for you two. Are you two getting special treatment because you think you're the only rich people here? Since Sophie and Isabel had heard her, Mavis couldn't care to hold her opinion anymore. Oh my. It seems like you intend to challenge my patience. That's right. I'm wealthy, and I want to be special. What can you do about that? Did the organizer of the training camp mention any rules on forbidding the participants from eating outside food? Who do you think you are to make these comments about us? If you have what it takes, why don't you get yourself the special treatment too? All you do is stare at Sophie all the time. What's the matter with you? Are you afraid that Sophie will defeat you? If you're so scared, you should just withdraw from this competition. Mavis was rendered speechless and beside herself with rage. Is that so? Did you say I'm afraid of losing? Well, let's see who will be the loser in the end, she glowered at Sophie. On the contrary, Sophie didn't even spare her a glance. Sophie, let's make a bet. If you lose in this physics competition, you're prohibited from taking part in any other physics contest, and you cannot show yourself in front of Bailey in the future. Mavis was adamant in blaming everything on Sophie. Why should I make this bet with you? She's not even qualified. What's going on? Are you chickening out? Weren't you always acting high and mighty like you're the smartest person in this world? Are you done, Mavis? Bailey piped up in resignation. Mavis clenched her fists. Sophie, if you don't dare to accept this bet, then you should just leave the training camp at once, she uttered haughtily. Sophie will never have the courage to accept the challenge. That's right. Mavis won the first prize in the last physics competition, so Sophie will undoubtedly lose if she takes on the bet. Therefore, no one will agree to a challenge like this. So what if she won the first prize previously? She accomplished that because Sophie didn't take part back then. Isabel had had enough of listening to those remarks. Sophie, you don't have to keep up with the tough pretense. It isn't embarrassing even if you lose to Mavis. You. Isabel was beyond furious. How is that possible? Fine. I accept your challenge, Sophie finally spoke. Sophie. Bailey eyed her worryingly. Despite Mavis' rotten character, she's without a doubt gifted in the field of physics. You don't have to meddle in this matter. Since she's so eager to be humiliated, I shall fulfill her wish and do her this favor, Sophie said nonchalantly. Sophie, you don't stand a chance against Mavis. Most of the participants in the current session also took part in last year's program, so they had a good understanding of Mavis' prowess. Sophie, remember what you said. If you lose, you're not allowed to join any other physics contests, and you must stay away from Bailey in the future. Mavis wanted to ensure Sophie didn't go back on her words after the latter agreed to her suggestion. Don't worry. I'll remember my promises, but you need to do the same. You must steer clear of me if you lose and never show your face before me. Sophie didn't feel the need to hold back when dealing with someone as arrogant as Mavis. Sophie. Although Isabel had a lot of faith in Sophie, she couldn't help but feel a little worried. Sophie wouldn't have accepted Mavis' challenge if it weren't for me. She couldn't care less about the latter from the beginning. It's going to be all right. Don't worry because I am confident in winning the competition. Sophie, if you lose, I shall leave the physics industry with you. Bailey was the reason things had turned out this way, so this was the only thing he could do now. Bailey Dixon. Mavis gasped in horror. She had no idea Bailey would say that. Did he say that on purpose? He knew I did everything for him but said that out loud. Let's go. Sophie didn't even bother to give her another glance. She led Isabel to an empty seat and sat down. As far as she was concerned, it would be a waste of time to talk to someone who wasn't important to her. Mavis, I don't like you. My feelings won't change no matter what you do. I will never fall in love with you, so stop making things difficult for Sophie, Bailey told her sternly. He didn't bother sparing her feelings. Hey! Mavis inhaled sharply. It might seem that I have one, but how will the others look at me? Ugh, this is frustrating. Why does Bailey like to make me angry? Can't he see how much I love him? You insist on defending her, huh? Fine. I shall let you see how I defeat her entirely. She will suffer a humiliating defeat, Mavis vowed. With that said, she took a seat in the first row. If he insists on acting this way, I shall show him what I'm capable of. This time, I must defeat Sophie. Sophie, can you do it? I think Mavis is pretty good in physics, Isabel asked worriedly. She didn't want to be the reason that made Sophie suffer defeat. It's fine. The professor is here, so pay attention to his words, Sophie responded calmly as though she didn't make a bet. That very night, Isabel told her uncle about the matter discreetly. Uncle Tristan, what should I do? Mavis was really arrogant. Should we buy the questions for the physics competition? That way, Sophie's win will be guaranteed, Isabel suggested. All she wanted was for Sophie to win the bet. Stop creating trouble all the time, came Tristan's frosty reply. Isabel was rendered speechless. Fine. I was the one who caused this. However, I didn't do it on purpose. Uncle Tristan, what should we do now? We can't stand back and do nothing, can we? Just have faith in Sophie, Tristan told her. Sophie was not the type to cheat. Besides, she was capable enough to defeat Mavis. However, Tristan couldn't help but grow irritated as Bailey was the reason behind the bet. Thus, he couldn't help but brood when he video called Sophie. Tristan tried his best to hide his emotions, but Sophie was sharp enough to sense his displeasure. What's the matter? Are you upset? She asked. No, came his answer. Sophie fell silent. Why didn't you ask the reason I'm upset? You denied being upset, right? Is there still a need for me to continue asking? Sophie returned. Tristan was rendered speechless. Damn it. How could she do this to me? I might be arrogant and indifferent, but I want her to have concern for me. If we're together right now, I shall pin her underneath me and kiss her passionately so she'll know if I'm upset or not. I'll go and see you after the competition ends, was all Tristan said in the end. Sure, Sophie agreed readily. Do you miss me? He inquired. The same question again? How insecure is he? Yes, she replied. My answer is straightforward enough, right? Sure enough, Tristan's mood lifted after he heard her answer. I miss you too, he told her. No matter how capable one was, one's heart would soften when one was in love. It didn't matter how outstanding one was, for everyone wanted to receive praise from their loved ones when they were in love. By the way, do you need my help to deal with Mavis? Tristan asked. He wouldn't allow anyone who offended Sophie to get away no matter who they were. It's all right. There's no need to worry about her. Meanwhile, Mavis called her father to ensure her win. Dad, your student was the one who prepared the questions, right? She questioned. Her father was a physics teacher, and his student was in charge of setting the questions this time. Yes. What's the matter? How are you doing in the training camp? You're my daughter, so don't humiliate me. This competition is very important to you. You must win first place, understand? Mavis said nothing. No matter what, she had to get the questions to ensure Sophie wouldn't make a comeback ever. After chatting briefly with her father, Mavis hung up. What should I do to get the questions beforehand? The 2-week training camp came to an end in the blink of an eye, and the competition would be held the next day. It has ended finally. Isabel let out a sigh. She would go crazy if it were to go on any longer. Was it that hard for you? Sophie asked. It is still okay. However, I'm clueless about advanced physics. Finally, Isabel knew she should forget about learning physics. Mavis was right behind them. She let out a snort upon hearing Isabel's words. You'll regret joining the physics competition, she announced arrogantly. You can't be sure about that yet, Isabel retorted. She wasn't confident but refused to back down. Let's just wait and see, Mavis responded. Without waiting for a reply, she spun on her heels and strode away. Suspicions rose in Isabel's heart when she saw how confident Mavis was. Sophie, look how confident she is. Is something fishy going on? Did she know something in advance? Isabel had the idea of getting the questions in advance but gave up in the end, so she couldn't help but suspect Mavis had the same intention. After observing Mavis for a few days, she discovered that the former wasn't as capable as she first assumed. That seemed to be the case to her. All right. We shall find out tomorrow, Sophie answered nonchalantly. She wasn't bothered by Mavis' action at all. That night, Mavis came to Bailey again. She refused to give up just yet. Bailey, are you sure you don't want to date me? She asked. She loved Bailey too much to give up on him. Bailey came back from dinner to see Mavis at his door. He never liked Mavis, but now she pestered him to no end. Mavis, I told you I never liked you, he told her. Wasn't I clear enough? Bailey, you love physics, right? I'm talented in physics. If you agree to date me, you can be my father's student. That's an opportunity many are dying to get. Mavis tried convincing him to change his mind. Bailey was rendered speechless. I will do my best to get whatever I want. I don't need to rely on a woman, Bailey declared. Having said that, he walked past her and opened the door to his room. Mavis wanted to come in after him, but he shut the door in her face. Mavis stood rooted to the spot. She was unwilling to accept the reality. Resentment filled her heart as she wondered what was the difference between her and Sophie.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.